Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about closing cost assistance. Many home buyers who I speak to have enough money for the down payment, but they're just a little bit short on closing costs. And they feel like they either have to find that money now or they need to put off their home buying plans. Now there are some strategies to come up with the closing cost funds that you need. And this applies to not only just FHA loans, but really almost any mortgage program that you're applying for. So the first thing is that there are down payment assistance programs out there. And in some instances, you're able to apply some of that money against closing costs, not just the down payment. So for example, maybe you are approved for a $15,000 grant or closing costs or down payment assistance, and maybe your down payment is only $10,000. You might be able to use the additional $5,000 for closing costs. So that's something that you would need to check into with the program that you're applying for. There are down payment assistance programs and also some closing cost assistance programs that you could research in your community. So again, that's the first option that you have. The second is lender paid closing cost assistance or a lender credit. And this really happens in this way. If you want the lender to cover your closing costs, you're going to have to allow them to increase your rate just a little bit. And by increasing the rate, they earn additional commission that can help offset your closing costs. So I know a lot of people are very, very rate focused and rate conscious, but if your rate is increased by just a couple of eighths of a point to cover your closing costs, your monthly payment difference could be $50 a month, but the lender might be paying, able to cover, say, $5,000 in closing costs for you. So when you look at over time how many years you have to make payments before you start breaking even on that rate increase, it might really make sense for you to go with the lender credit or the lender paid closing costs in exchange for a little bit of a higher rate. The other thing here that you could look at are seller concessions. So this is when a seller actually pays for your closing costs, seller closing cost concessions. So if for an FHA loan, for example, the seller is allowed to provide you back as a closing cost credit up to 6% of the purchase price in a credit. Now you likely would not need that much for closing costs. However, it's good to know that you have that as an option. Now in a seller's market and we've experienced that recently, where everyone's bidding up on the properties and there's no need for a seller to actually have to provide you with a credit, because they can have another list of buyers that came through the house just yesterday willing to pay full price or higher without the seller having to provide a credit at closing. One other way to achieve this is to negotiate with the seller where you pay a little bit more for the house if they deal some of that money back to you in a closing cost credit. That's a way to incent the seller to do it. Now, two things have to happen for that to work. One, you have to be approved for that larger loan amount, and two, the house needs to at least appraise for that higher sales price that you just negotiated. And then the final way to do this is through gift funds. So if you get gift funds from a relative or a very close friend, you don't have to use all of that money towards your down payment. It could be towards closing costs, or they could give you a large enough gift to cover both down payment and closing costs as well. That's a very, very popular strategy that many people utilize, and it's effective. So now you've got 4 strategies. The first one being closing cost assistance programs that you can research. We do have a down payment assistance article that you can read about. I'm going to link to that in the description. If you're looking to work with a lender that can help you to navigate through this and potentially offer you even a lender credit at closing, Just follow the link in the description, visit FHAlenders.com, and you'll be speaking with someone pretty quickly, and they'll get you pre-approved, and we'll make sure that you got your closing costs covered. Hopefully this is helpful for you. If so, please hit that like button down in the description. Maybe subscribe to watch more videos. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time.